Hello and welcome to episode 12 of our Timberborn Update 6 Waterbeavers playthrough here. Cycle 12, Day 8, still currently in the middle of a temperate cycle. But the next couple days we're going to find out if we're going to have a drought or a bad tide once again. Last time we did a bunch of small improvements and got ever closer to having the floodgate dam blueprints completed. It is currently at 65%, which means we have at least another 4-ish days to have that completed. But what we can go ahead and do, deprioritize the building by haulers, so all of this stuff doesn't fill up quite as fast, and we honestly aren't going to need it because we only have to make this blueprint once. However, that is provided we don't immediately place the single blueprint into a floodgate dam construction site, because then it will be consumed and we'll have to do all that research again. What we have to do is go into... Actually, this is the wrong... this is the wrong place for that to go. I've got to use our tool finder here to find the... is it Copyist or Coppice Lodge? I can't remember what it's named in this game. Oh, here it is. I was in the right spot. I just couldn't remember what the thing looked like. But the Copyist Lodge, what this does is this creates duplicates of blueprints, so you don't have to do the research again. But before it can be copied, it has to be fancified, which is done in the Artist Lodge, which I believe is right here, once I remember where everything actually is in this mod. But I digress. This does have to fancify it, which it does with, I believe, pencil sets and all that other fun stuff. So we'll have to build it to actually see. But these are already unlocked, good to go. We can build one of these. We can build another one of these. They are also houses, of course. But they're going to be useful as we get into the mid and late game with all of the blueprints very, very conveniently, and there's other stuff about the blueprints we have to talk about first as well. But I'm going to go ahead and find a place to start building these things. They do have interesting shapes, which we will, of course, be able to utilize however we so choose. But I think what's probably going to make the most sense is for us to go ahead and just find a spot that is non-irrigable. I'm going to go ahead and hit pause. Find a spot that's non-irrigable that we can place these on without wasting future potential for the planting of crops or something like that. And I don't really know that there's a lot of great options, to be perfectly honest with you, outside of, coming up here, which we've talked about before. But keep in mind, the structure of this is going to require that this overhangs, well, a place that it can overhang. So if we take a look at the Copyist Lodge, it is set up kind of the same, but also kind of not the same. So I'm interested to see, again, sorry for this being so hard to look at. I'm interested to see if I can stack these. So let's, again, I really wish I could hide this in the middle because it takes up the whole stinking screen, but you can't, so you have to do this. Okay, you cannot stack these like that, which is unfortunate. So we're going to have to find a pretty strangely configured place to be able to do something with this. But, I guess it's fine. This right here actually wouldn't be too bad. This can also be flipped. We're just going to have to, do what we can do. This would also work here, but this is going to be a lot easier to put accessible in there. All right, bring this back in. Copyist Lodge. Hide that again. Where in the world can I pop this and still have access to stuff? See, this is the eternal challenge of the Waterbeavers. I mean, I could do something like this, but then, I don't know, man. This is one of those things where, like, all right, this mod is really hard, and I need to just stop complaining about it. But that's the way she goes. If I put it in here, it is not going to contaminate the beavers because the entrance is on the second floor. And that's probably, honestly, going to be the best place for that to go. Ish. So I will, I'll just do that, and that's just going to have to be how it's going to be. We do have to connect the paths as well. Get that taken care of. And now that we have stairs, we can put in a staircase here, so that can be a little bit easier to find. So they're still building this distillery so they can make the pollution resistance factor. That is getting very close, except it needs more scrap metal. Well, this one needs pine resin, planks, and logs, as does this, the exact same stuff. So that is fine. I'm going to go ahead and set this before I forget it. And we're going to, of course, have to fancify the floodgate dam blueprint here, and then duplicate the fancified blueprint here. And then, of course, when we go to actually build the floodgate dam after we research it, you'll note it does require the fancy blueprint. So, theoretically, it's impossible to make that mistake I talked about early in the episode anyway, but I digress. That's fine. We do still have to research it. We don't have the science yet. We're going to get there. And, of course, to make the science, we have to go into the library and actually produce it, and now it needs kimchi, which is currently being produced and could definitely stand to be produced faster. So remember over here, we have this one making half-fermented sake, this one's making the chestnut beer, this one's also making the chestnut beer. All of these are in progress, and that is beautiful. But we do still need more kimchi. That being said, I think we're fine to just kind of keep on with this as the single thing, unless we decide, you know what, we might as well just go ahead and build another one of these. But we don't have a lot of cabbage, which is, of course, what we use to make the kimchi. So I'm not going to build another one of these yet. Eventually, we're going to want to do that. So I'm going to hit unpause finally so we can continue moving around. But the library, if you saw our previous playthroughs of this, has the ability to store the scrolls of blueprints. And that we can find right here. Of course, we have to unlock it, the scroll display, which can be built if you peel back the layers here. Can be built in a couple of spots in the library. See if I can... is it not going to... It doesn't open the building anymore? What? Whoa, hold on. Hold on. It doesn't go in the library anymore? If this wasn't a patch note and you're about to roast me in the comments for not reading it, then do what you want, but I thought for sure this one still went in the library. Yeah, that's, okay, well. Never mind. Never mind, I guess. We'll just have to build the, just have to pull the scroll display outside. Because it holds 100. That's, interesting. I always thought maybe... Okay, well, regardless, we do still have to build the glorious storage for the anvil again, and I'm going to make sure that we have that ready to go before we end up demolishing the primitive ironworks, which, of course, cannot do anything until it has more scrap metal. Anyway, so... You can clearly see we're going to have to, you know, get our stuff figured out here. We have some scrap metal here. We have scrap metal up here that we can't get to. But for right now, actually, I'm going to check and see here. Alright, where is Scavenger Flag? That is all the way up over here. And it cannot reach anything else except this right here, which is currently... Got another 25. That's okay. I'm not going to wait, though. I'm just going to go ahead and put this right here. So that's going to be able to access that. And if we come in here with stairs... I love stairs. We come in here with stairs and put a little staircase down there, then they'll have access to this as well. Additionally, suggested in the comments, we should probably get rid of this land here for easier access to the berries. Because this is non-irrigable, it's never going to be irrigable, so it doesn't really matter. And I have 7 pieces of dynamite, but before I use those, we do need to remember that we have to make more dynamite. We have to be able to make more dynamite. That comes from the Handicrafter's Lodge with nitroglycerin, paper, and sawdust. We have paper, kind of. We have sawdust. We do not have nitroglycerin. Where does that come from? It comes from the alchemist. And currently we are trying to make... brain-boosting salts. We don't have bad water because this guy's taken his sweet time, but if we take a look at the recipes for the alchemist building, the nitroglycerin uses the sunflower oil, it uses this, saltpeter, and then it will make nitroglycerin. Very, very simple. It's not going to be hard for us to get it. We just haven't started mining saltpeter because we've been making stuff with salt, which is not to be confused with that, and all that other fun stuff. But we don't have... I mean, we have some storage for the mountain salt, and that's fine. We're using it to make a bunch of rice balls, but we have enough now. I'm going to go ahead and just have them start collecting saltpeter just so we have it ready to go, and we're not going to have to worry about it later. They're, of course, supplying the library with brain-boosting salts. At the same time, they're supplying the Mechanics Lodge. Well, they've already filled it up with brain-boosting salts, but just need to keep ourselves aware of what is happening there. So we know we can make dynamite. And while this is not like a pressing thing right now, we are going to want to eventually, because as soon as we remove any further obstacles to get back here, we can have this same gatherer flag get all of these, save a little bit of employment, and I think that is going to be a smart choice moving forward. We've got trees growing here. We've got others that may or may not be able to be planted in this corner, and that is what it is. That is fine. I think we're going to be in good shape. It is still day 9. We do still have at least a few more days before bad tide or drought's going to come in, which is giving me maybe an unreasonable amount of hope that we're going to be able to finish the blueprint by the time that would start. But I don't think we're going to get the science unless we are able to get more kimchi really, really quick. And we do have kimchi, and this has just started a new batch. They shouldn't be able to really eat it if it can just go in here super conveniently. So we're going to see what happens. I'm going to put a couple more beavers in here to expedite the process of making science and also getting the items necessary to do so. And we're going to see what happens. Remember, we have to have, I believe, 200 to get the floodgate dam. That is correct. And the other materials, we are still kind of lacking. But it's not that impossible for us to make this work. We just have to be able to be a little bit quick on the uptake here. If we have a nice long temperate cycle, about 15-16 days, we might stand a chance. But we're going to see. We are definitely going to see. I need to make sure that the brain boosting salts we have are going to be enough to get us the science before I switch that alchemist to do something else. Remember, we cannot make another alchemist until we have a factory that can produce the required materials for that. And we can't make a factory until we have... We've talked about this before. I don't need to keep repeating it. So 16 brain boosting salts is going to give us 64 science. We need to have 200. That's not quite enough. But they have 20 in here that does not need to be in there. And that's another 80 just by itself. So we're a lot closer than you think. We just have to keep these guys going here. And that is going to require more bad water. I can send a beaver down in here, but that will get them contaminated. And we have 5 right now who are contaminated. And we only have the capacity to treat 3 in the contaminated beaver jail. So, easiest thing for us to do, probably, is going to be to just build more contaminated beaver jail as soon as I remember where in the world that is well-being. Okay. Yeah, it's another one of those things we're going to have to do. This artist lodge obviously can do nothing right now, so that's going to be paused. This copyist lodge obviously can do nothing right now, except gather pencil sets and paper, which is very convenient, and requires... Wow, it requires 12 sheets of paper to copy the... Okay. Well, I guess I need to turn the primitive paper mill on, unless I have... Oh, I only have 2 sheets of paper in here. I'm glad I looked. I was going to just, you know, wing it and let them do what they had to do, but... primitive paper mill is going to need to be turned on, which is going to consume a lot of labor that we probably don't want to use in that way. But to do the actual paper mill, which is right here, takes 250 science, and the materials we kind of have, but it does consume gears, which we are not producing reliably yet, and it does require power. So that's still a little ways off. It is what it is. Let's turn this back on and see if there's anything else we can reasonably get away with doing here. I'm going to pause the copyist lodge just so we can, you know, one, not balloon the population too unnecessarily, and also not suck up a job. Everything else, see, these are deprioritized. I don't know why we still have a worker in there. If these are all deprioritized like that, that means we should be okay if they're automatically going elsewhere. Yeah, see, this is just slow because I'm on single speed. I don't want to rush through this, because you know how things go. I'm trying to keep things relatively stable here. Okay, this guy has cut all of the trees, so that can definitely go all the way away. That solves one of our little labor problems. Still working here. There's 18 left. Still working here. Yeah, this gatherer flag can't really reach stuff. This one can, but... you know, if we can kind of trim stuff, that would be probably helpful. I don't know that specifically I'm willing to demolish this quite yet, because I think I should probably keep my dynamite for the purpose of improving our pumps. But you know how it goes. Just take it one step at a time. These trees are still 2/3 the way grown, so I don't have to worry about that. This I could probably deprioritize. Not that that's really going to matter. We also probably want to make sure that we have pollution resistance factor, which we do in here, which is good. That is going to last a pretty long time. This is still making the strong alcohol from this a bit, which is good to see because that's going to go into here. Yeah, bad water is the problem. So the logical solution here is to build another bad water bucketing post. Since we already have 4 of these who are contaminated, I don't want to have anybody come down in here if I can at all help it. They still have not finished it. 45 logs. All right, forget it. Forget it. We're not going to do that. That's too many logs. We can't afford to do that right now. But we can afford to have another bad water bucketing post. We definitely need one of those. So that can be another thing they start building. This is waiting on scrap metal, and it's almost got all the pieces. That's good. Definitely want to have that going as much as we can. How are we looking here? Saltpeter is coming in slowly. We will need it later. That is fine. A couple people have posted several times about the bramble flowers here and how nobody's working on it. Well, I mean, they are. It's just, this is maybe not the best location for that, but they are still cutting this down, and this, for right now, is still a perfectly adequate quantity of bramble flowers. We're just harvesting them slowly, and they're being used basically just for the kimchi, so it might seem like it's not a thing, but it's fine. Don't worry about it. We're going to be good. What else can I kind of cut to save labor? Obviously, that's still at 75%. I do need to keep an eye on the planks because this has been paused for quite some time. Still trying to make our water storage be completely full. I need to have more tar so I can build all this stuff. But that, of course, is made in the Alchemist, which we cannot change the recipe on until we're sure we have the science for all that other fun stuff. But things are looking okay. Definitely could be a whole lot worse. Just 5 hours for one of these is a pain in the butt. It is what it is. Gears, of course, have to be made in the Mechanics Lodge, which I always forget where it is. There we go. I can make another one of these. Probably would be a smart thing for us to do. But it requires paper, which, for the time being, probably should be saved up for some other stuff. Look, it's you know what Waterbeavers is about. It's just hard. It's just what it is. These guys are looking good though, getting some trees up. So I'm going to get this prioritized again, so we can start cutting those down. Still have somebody here. Still have somebody here. That's looking just fine. Oh hey, this is okay. That's 12. I thought it was gone. Never mind. Never mind. We talked about getting this completely filled in, or I guess more filled in, so we could have easier control over how much water or bad water stays here, stays there, what have you. The pass-through lodge is probably going to be the next thing we build if we have a drought next. Maybe not necessarily a bad tide, because we do want to be able to flush things out. I wish there was like a better way to do this. This is admittedly a very, very hard map for this faction. There was at one point one of these dams that would allow the beavers to walk through, but I do not remember. Do not remember where it is, or maybe it just got removed. There's a utility dam. I think that would do power shafts as well, but is that in this one? I don't see it. Oh, that also reminds me, while we're talking about it, I get a lot of comments asking about why can't we just, put something on top of the bad water sources. And the answer is this mod doesn't support that. The bad water dome and the bad water discharge do not exist. However, someone mentioned that there is a variant of the nuclear reactor, apparently, that can serve kind of the same purpose. And this one says, for basic nuclear reactor, it says a relatively weak nuclear reactor built and powered only with the low-grade nuclear waste. That does actually allow us to do this. But, 4,000 science, the PhD in nuclear physics, 150 metal blocks, 200... This is not happening anytime even remotely soon. We're like months away from this. But just for everyone's edification, this is possible, and we will be doing it at some point, but obviously not right now. Abyssal nuclear power plant water outflow. That's a completely different thing. There are lots to get to that we don't have time to talk about today, nor would it be really relevant. So, all we can do now is just let this continue how it's going to continue, try to get our population up responsibly, and continue to increase our food stores, so on, so forth. Science-wise, obviously, this needs to continue a little bit faster. That a kimchi again. This next batch of kimchi is going to be another entire day. Okay. So, I'll take these guys out of the library, try to get some other jobs filled up, and we'll put this on triple speed. I know, 20 minutes into the episode. But it all takes time. You can't rush these things. Oh, never mind. Here's the bad tide. Oh, God. Here's a bad tide coming in. So, what that means, back off of 3 times speed now. We do, unfortunately, have to do the stupid, kludgy fix of getting this completely blocked off again. But since we're in normal mode, it can't be that long of a bad tide. It's just going to kill a whole bunch of stuff. So now the fun thing is, we have to make sure that we have contamination repelling irrigation recipes able to be supported. So, this is actually finished now, which is good because now we can make pollution resistance factor, but we have to have brain stimulating mushrooms, which come out of this thing and cannot be done because we don't have bad water. We're consuming it too quickly. So, this mushroom grower can function without workers. We just don't have any bad water to go into it. So, see, these guys every 1.5 hours give us 1 bad water. Bad water gets consumed to make brain-boosting salts. I'm going to go ahead and say we need to focus on not using bad water for this recipe. So if we change this back to tar, which is something we do need to make, then that will free up the bad water to be used to make the pollution resistance factor. We can keep this irrigation lodge fully operating, which will save these crops. We can keep this one operating, which will save these trees, but not these trees. This one is never going to be infected anyway. Some of these berry bushes might die, but that's fine the way it is. I am not going to plug this up during a bad tide because we want it all to flow out. This is just kind of its own thing. But what we do need to do is we do need to rebuild this levee here, which we can pretty easily do. As long as we have enough logs, we definitely have the clay. Pine resin also. Speaking of clay, I don't think we need to have beavers. Oh, they're not working in here anyway. Okay. Well, that problem is solved. Good news is we have these everblossoms here. This will be the biggest priority construction there. That will save all of these crops. Some of this stuff is still going to die again. Not really much we can do about that, but it is what it is. These guys, of course, are building the levee here. We no longer have any trees to cut on this side, so there's no need to have these open. It just is what it is. So beavers should not be going back and forth under here. Everything else, bad water-wise, we already know this is going to kill all this stuff, so, well, this is going to be fine, but all of this rice is going to be gone, and we actually don't have very much rice storage, so let's go ahead and priority harvest rice paddies. I had this set to cabbage, but we're going to be fine. Just get this picked back up. It's all going to die anyway in 2.5 days. And that all should be okay. We just need to block this off. We need to make sure we have our storage as full as we can so that we can afford to pause what we need to be pausing. These will also not be useful at all. So I guess probably what's going to make the most sense for us to build outside of that levee is to build some more medium tanks, which we do have the tar right now to build 1 more, which will let us store another 300 water. I actually don't think we can fill up the water storage we already have, so that might not be worth doing. But we're going to want to, you know, keep thinking about that. Pretty sure for 100 beavers this is going to be fine for at least 9 days, but we are also consuming water for recipes. But there's going to be all this that we can still keep pumping, so that should be okay. Maybe the smarter thing for us to do is to block this off with a dam, which would require that we have another way to access it. But if we block this off with the dam, then all these pumps can never empty this rice field. I just don't know if that's going to be a reasonable thing for our beavers to be doing. Also, that's a lot of logs, but... So you take something like this. Obviously, the paths here are going to kind of prevent that from being a convenient thing to build. But I can, if I remove the river bath and put it in a slightly different orientation, I can put a primitive dam right here. Well, like I said, that's going to cut off these guys. So we would have to have them... come through the poison water here, or build a little bridge. Which, if we had ladders unlocked, which, again, we cannot because we don't have the science, we could just have this come straight the way across here. I do think, however, it is going to be a smart idea to have a path cut through here anyway. Remember, these trees are all going to die. We're not going to be able to harvest them for wood, so it is what it is. Let's just go ahead and give ourselves a nice pathway across all this. What's going to be the shortest path? Is it going to matter? Probably not. I suppose... No, let's see, that's not going to be a good way to go. If I just cut this off this way, that's probably fine, just like that. So they won't replant this. This will be maybe a couple of these might survive long enough to grow into mature trees that could then be cut down regardless of whether they're dead or not. But this is going to end up being access over here. This will have to be, replanted or whatever. And I don't have the platforms yet because those require the Architect's Lodge, which is another building we have to construct that we cannot at this exact moment. I have to remember what that thing looks like. This one. Has to be researched. Which I guess we could, but we don't have the paper. See? Everything begets additional problems. So, we talked about putting this thing in here. I can't make it work yet. It'll probably have to be the next bad tide that it goes in, or drought, or whatever. Now, all we have to do is just put in another one of these 2-story lodges, and that's just going to be what it's going to be. So, I know this is not like the most amazing solution we've ever come up with, but it just works. It's fine. How are we looking here? Okay, still waiting on another 19 logs. We have so many trees that can be cut down, and, oh, all of this is done, so guess what? That scavenger flag now can become a lumberjack flag, and then long-term we're probably going to want to think about putting in one of these wood-felling planification lodges, which has a massive boost to the workers who are, well, working there. Plus 25% speed for working, plus 50% for movement, and plus 100% carrying capacity, so tremendous, tremendous stuff happening there if we can make that work. Pollution resistance factor is probably being consumed by the beavers, so I'm going to go ahead and turn this on in terms of pollution resistance mode so we can actually start going in there. Going to do that as well. That's going to give us 10 slots for babies, which we don't necessarily want to be using. Someone left a comment saying they didn't think the pollution resistance factor needed to be a thing here, but I'm going to go ahead and turn it on so we can have it in this building and the beavers won't eat it. It just makes sense in my head. It might not make sense to you. That's okay. We're just doing what we can do, folks. That is always, always, always the goal. Let's get this lumberjack flag going here. Gonna need to start prioritizing some other jobs. This is not technically a dam, but it also has storage in it. That's also not employing anyone. The Hauler's Lodge, the Builder's Lodge. I definitely need to have... How in the world do I have so many... 14 capacitated beavers. Because 7 of them are contaminated. Injuries, so on and so forth. We do have these medical beds that use half-fermented sake that we can't use because we don't have any. So that is what it is. They're working at the speed of smell to harvest all of this rice. That is, I guess, fine. What kind of progress have they made on this? 88%. Okay, very good. And most of the rest of the stuff is in here. Okay, Handicrafter's Lodge was also... Click, please. Thank you. Making pencil sets at some point, and we don't have a storage for those, I don't think. Yeah, see, it doesn't show up here for some reason, so I'm going to have to just kind of hope and guess that it actually goes in the mini crappy warehouse, and it looks like I was correct. So now we have pencil set storage. Can't remember if I mentioned that yet or not. as being a necessary thing. Still need more cabbages. Remember that this cabbage storage here is probably going to all be killed. Even though this is going to be clean water, this is going to be dirty water. So I'll tell you what. This is going to change to just harvest those cabbages right now. Because we know this is going to be fine. We know these are going to survive. At least for a little bit. I need to get these cabbages so we can do everything else. I don't want to waste our having put that there. So much to handle here. But we got a lot of rice balls. So that's good. At least we got 3 or 4 days worth of rice balls for all these beavers. Still trying to get jobs back here. Let's see. I guess I could deprioritize the log gnawing station. That's probably a smart thing to do. The primitive paper mill also probably should be deprioritized. I mean, it kind of is already. That's fine, I suppose. Everything else, I mean, we do need to keep making strong alcohol. We do need to keep making pollution resistance factor, but we don't have brain stimulating mushrooms because there's nobody putting bad water in here. So I guess I do have to have an employee if we don't have anything else going on. What's our progress on this? Okay, we still need another 13 logs. I mean, we can make it happen as long as these guys cut these trees down. Which, yes, these trees are marked, and they have been marked. So that's a cause for celebration there. We are still getting scrap metal, so that's looking fine. We're making tar, so that's looking fine. I already talked about why I'm not going to have any more storage built, because they can't fill it yet. We need to build more pump upgrades, but I'm not going to do it yet, because I'm not going to be able to use these for the next little bit of time. I don't think there's much of anything else we can do. These guys are just going to be real slow. So I wonder... Okay, I don't have the 15 logs, but we do need to build assistant farmers on this pair of farmhouses. For sure. That definitely needs to be a thing. Yeah, see, 85% of 13 days. These are going to be dead by the time they even get close. If there's any of these that are higher than 85%, then maybe, but I don't think... Yeah, these are all toast. They're done. So, I guess it is what it is. There's not much else we can do. I know it's frustrating, but that is the full extent of our capabilities at this moment in time. We haven't gotten the 200 science. We haven't gotten really much of anything I set out to do before this came in, but remember, it's Waterbeavers. Just takes time. And if you're sick of hearing me say that, well, sorry, it's going to keep happening. That's just how it goes. So what do we do from here? Aside from, you know, continually ballooning the population and getting ourselves into problems because everything is a house. We just kind of have to wait for some stuff to finish and then reevaluate when that happens. Like this is at 94%. This will give us a little bit of an influx in these materials, like I said before. Once this is done and this can start getting more gears made. We can also think about blueprints for the ENS, which are going to be, you know, relevant sometime soon-ish. And then the large water wheel blueprint as well. They did finish this a little earlier than I wanted because I honestly forgot about it. But, you know, it is what it is. I guess I can't really be mad about it, but I really should have kept better control over that. And that's done. That's good. I was really worried about that, so I guess I can't be mad. It is what it is. So I will pause the water pump upgrades, and I will... Oh, these were already paused. We didn't have those going. I'm going to pause all of these pumps, except these 3 right here. 1, because I don't want any more beavers to be born right now. 2, because I don't want to suck all the water up before it's time. And we have 1,600 here. It should be okay. So now that is... Let that even out a little bit. Now we only have 5 free beds. And we have... Still 19 vacancies, but 15 incapacitated beavers. That's looking a little bit better. The contamination is, it's a problem. And I should have built the other jail, but I didn't have the logs to pull it off. Now, though, if I can remember where the stupid thing is, I think I can probably make this work. Probably. Go ahead and just put this in a really... annoying location because it's basically the only place I can put it. But they're going to get that built at some point. They have harvested harvested a pretty prodigious quantity of these cabbages. That's looking good. We are in the process of making more fermentation barrel kimchi. They're out of brain-boosting salts, predictably because I stopped using that recipe. So I'm going to pause the library so that can just free up those couple guys. This one, of course, continuing to make tar, probably fine. Brain-boosting salts are going to have to come when they're going to come. It's just about the only thing you can do. This has a supply for 6 days, 9 hours, which is very encouraging. Pollution resistance factor being that thing there. This has a supply for 2 days. So, for now, I'm going to pause this. We're going to see how bad it's going to get. It might be a situation where we just turn this on to splash the trees once or twice if there's no contamination up here. I honestly do not remember whether or not that's going to be a thing. But these trees are all going to die as they do. So we just have to hope. A couple of these might grow before the concentration gets high enough, and then that's going to be what it's going to be. This lumberjack flag is doing lumberjack flag things. I do think it's going to be necessary for us to construct our first wood-felling planification lodge over here. And the doorway for this is on the bottom. Okay. It's very hard to see with this thing overlaying. That will reach... Will it reach all of the trees? Just about, if I put it there. If I'm able to move it to somewhere else, like right here, that would probably be good, but these trees were just planted. I'm going to go ahead and say I'm just going to get rid of those. It's going to speed us up enough where that's not going to be that big of a deal. And I can also plant more trees here. So, we know that's going to be a thing. Just get these ready to go there. This is probably fine. Just let them take care of what they're going to take care of, and we don't have to worry about the rest. This is not set to... Okay, good. Alright, so, you know, it is what it is. Just got to do it. Just got to move on. So now we get to find out how long of a bad tide we are going to have here in just a moment. Food is still looking good. Water is still looking good. Going to try our best not to, you know, have stuff be completely stupid, but again, it is what it is. I don't think there's anything else we can or should do to prepare, so just let it be what it's going to be. And it's a cool 7 days. We can let that just go on and do what it's going to do. I think it might kill a couple of these berry bushes. Maybe. But if not, then that is a-okay too. There's no reason for the beavers to come down here, so they shouldn't all get contaminated. I believe that's going to be fine. Let's go ahead. As soon as that guy gets finished, if I click the right button, thank you, put in this right here. There's also the option to do the lumberjack's barn as a larger building. That will employ additional and all that, but I'm not going to mess with that right now. Okay, that guy's finished, so in we go. This will, of course, have the reach for a significant quantity of trees. And we could probably improve that by putting in more stairs. You guys know how much I love stairs. Put one of those there, we'll have access to some of these trees as well. And honestly, this right here probably should also be a staircase to get to these trees. We're going to do our best. That's all you can do. So 30 logs might take a little bit of time, but we do have all the wood. We do have that ready to go. The floodgate dam blueprint is complete, which means this needs to be set back to gears, and all of these materials can be pulled back out, which then means the library can be staffed again, because now we're going to have brain-boosting salts when those get pulled out of this building. Alright, and now this is killing what it's going to kill. It is what it is. Okay, these are going to be dying in 8.2 days. I'm going to set this to cabbages instead. Please don't, you know, get super infected going down in here, but when has that ever stopped anybody? You know what I don't see? Is I don't see infection spreading here, which is honestly kind of surprising. I didn't think that was going to be an issue. Who's blocked by bad water? Okay, it's, that's that one, alright. This is active. That's looking good. These are drying out, but they are not being poisoned. So that is also good. We'll save that. Yeah, it's just the unfortunate reality in which we find ourselves. Alright, staircase here. Again there. So this also... Oh, I thought those berries were on this level. That was going to be a fun thing. Oh well. This is waiting on what? Pine resin. Really? How are we out of pine resin? That should not be an issue. Well, this can get cut down. That will get cut down eventually at some point. Is what it is. Do we have the second jail yet? Yes, we do. So 6 of the contaminated beavers, which is exactly how many we have, can live in here and we won't have to feed them, so on and so forth. But these being dead does mean that I can bring this path in place. And as long as nobody's going down the stairs of death here, I can go ahead and I can remove those, which is going to mean I can come back in with either the crappy platforms, which will use a ton of logs, or I can try to think of something else to get us across, like, for example, suspension bridges, which are a lot cheaper and, in the Waterbeaver faction, can be built on top of a path or on the side of a ladder stack. So that is going to be a very convenient thing for us to do here. We will lose our stairway access, but that can be easily replaced, and we won't lose... Well, we will lose some plantable space, but we won't lose as much. Because now, excuse me, we can just build normal stairs to get down here. And then everyone will be perfectly fine. That will go away. And then this should be... Yeah. It should work okay. Obviously this is massively deprioritized, but this will make things a little bit better here. And then, of course, I can pop in this other dam when we get to that point. So, where does that leave us? We're making more gears. I need to pause these 3 because those obviously can't do anything. And now we have 9 homeless beavers, which conveniently means we can have the Artist Lodge and the Copyist Lodge open up to house some of those beavers and start the process of beautifying the blueprint that can then be copied. Very, very, very simply. This one, of course, does not consume materials to beautify it, fancify it, whatever you want to call it. But this one, here we go, more pencil sounds, does consume additional pieces of paper, which it does not have, and pencil sets, which it does not have, but which we do have. And that should be just fine. Now that we've changed recipes, of course, this will be offloaded. I wish I could turn building sounds off, please, and thank you. But that is how that goes. And by the time this bad tide is done, these trees will still be alive, but if we want to harvest the resin, and these don't already have resin on them, which I don't think any of them do, then we will have to have these irrigated. But seeing how this isn't going to be an infection thing, contamination, whatever, we can just have this on regular irrigation, and that will also solve the last of our homeless beaver problem. See? Stuff just works out. You know, sometimes it pays to have things actually set up correctly. Still working on building this. Again, we're waiting on the pine resin, which is part of the reason why I went ahead and turned that back on. So what do we do from here? We basically just have to wait. Fortunately, we do have cabbages coming in. These have died due to contamination. I did think that was going to be a thing. But for now, we can just kind of let this be what it's going to be, and then probably, if we can afford to, which, no, we don't have the pine resin, want to build an assistant farmer upgrade, but can't do that quite yet. This has already been deprioritized, so that's fine. What we can also do, we don't need to put a path up to it, but we can put in more stairs here, which is going to give us access to these trees to cut down, and then also to plant in the future, because that is going to be a much more accessible thing. Super easy. But I digress. That's just going to have to be what it's going to have to be. We just have to let it do that. Now, I'm very curious to see what has happened to this blueprint, because I haven't started building a floodgate dam. It says it can't get the required materials. Is it already over here being copied? Yes, okay, it has already been fancified. Alright, well that's good to know. I'm going to keep this going until we have a whole bunch of fancified ones, because you don't want to get caught without having one of those and have to do the research again. That is never a fun thing. Never a fun thing. You might also notice that our water is dropping quite quickly, and it says it'll be gone in 4 days. That's because I'm trying to keep the rice growing here, but this is all dead due to contamination anyway. Why? Why is this dead due to contamination? I can't even get over here. Well, I guess it's fine. It is what it is. If that's the case, then I'm just going to... No, I'm just going to turn these pump upgrades back up. Because it clearly doesn't really matter at all. One more pine resin here. Until that gets taken care of. I'm glad we get to keep these alive, though. That is something that was a major concern for me. I'm still waiting on a couple more pieces of paper, which honestly should be coming pretty soon here. Once I have enough paper, I probably should pause the primitive paper mill so we can get some jobs back and stop consuming so much pine resin. We need to have more pine trees with which to gather this stuff, so I can go ahead and plant a couple more of these guys here, which I suppose I probably should do. I was going to keep this open for some other stuff, but, you know, it's probably fine just to go ahead and plant more of these. As long as they're not getting cut down, which I don't think they are. Yeah, for some reason they still haven't gotten all of the materials out of this. I guess it's not prioritized. That's probably why. Oh, conveniently, we are out of planks, which means I have to turn the rudimentary sawmill back on, which means I have to have additional crude saw blades. So, we do have to make at least a couple of these. This is... Wait, this no longer can... Ah! Ugly paths. Well. We'll get this taken care of. It'll be nicer eventually. They just gotta do what they gotta do. We do have some pollution resistance factor there. That's good. I know they're still working on this. And it needs to go into this thing here. I'd really love for this to be completely full. But you know how it goes. Food is still looking really good. Slowly making more braised cabbage, but you know how it goes. The cereal bars, I guess, are waiting on berries. We don't have enough berries yet, so maybe I'm better off just changing this back to braised cabbage for the time being until we can have a lot more berries come in. Probably going to be the smarter thing to do. Hey, but this is ready. The wood filling planification launch. That means those two things can go away, and those two spots can be used for planting some trees. That's just going to be massively easier. Let's go ahead and mark all of this for cutting. These pine trees are on separate levels. That's why we can't do anything with them. But these do have some resin on them. But I don't know that I want to have... Maybe I do, because that's only 2 trees there. No more accessible here. If I had another staircase. And this, of course, is not dead, but this is now a very good opportunity for us to remove the brambles, and only the brambles, while they are unable to spread up here. So that'll help solve a lot of those problems. These are already drying out and dying in 5 days, but that's going to be fine. Because then that is going to allow me to cut down all of these, and then we can either let this spread as berries, which would probably be the smart thing to do, or we can plant some more trees up here. This space right here, I think just makes sense to have planted as everblossoms, so I will do that. But the rest of this, like this here, everblossoms, this here can be used for trees. Just let them do what they gotta do. Alright, so you know, all is not lost in a bad tide, even though it's still very frustrating. But we have nice access with the suspension bridge here, which means, now that this is completely dry anyway, you can go ahead and say, alright, it is time to disconnect this, get rid of that, zoom in here, get rid of all these paths, because this can all be planted. This staircase, I guess, can be removed. Yep, get yourself out of there. Anybody else? No? Good. Bet you can't guess what's going to go in here. That's right, it's normal stairs. Who would have ever thunk it? I need to have this accessible here so they can walk past and plant those, so that will be fine there. That'll be fine there. Of course, this will die every single time there's a bad tide, but what can you do about that? The answer is nothing, at least not right now. And then this primitive dam will go, assuming there's clearance for it. Oh, is that actually not going to block anything? This might not block anything either. Okay. So I will need to put another building in place and then probably... Oh, that should block. Yeah, that should block just fine. Okay. Yeah, we can do that. That will be a non-issue. Get that taken care of there. If I remove this staircase, because both of these are paused, and then I put in normal stairs, as one does, I think... First of all, let me check and see what this would end up. If I had that put there, I need to have space for the river baths, so that would have to go here. Or wait, that's gonna work. Okay. Well, if I put that there, then that means, oh yeah, look at that, folks. We can finally have the actual capacity there. That's gonna mean that I can put in this here, take that path away. I know this is convoluted, it's fine, don't worry about it. This can now be stairs, and this can have access to all of this stuff. I could probably move this guy over this way if I really wanted to. But this is going to be just fine. All these logs down here, I guess it's going to be what it's going to be. Yep, a whole lot of stuff gets built at once. That's just how it's going to be. That's just how it has to go. Gonna get a couple more crude saw blades made here. If I can. Do I not have... Okay, no, I do. They're just busy. So much to do. So many things all overlapping all at once. But that's part of the fun of the mod, right? This is actually going to work out nicely because I'm looking at OBS right now. It says 53 minutes and 6 seconds, and we got 2 days left in the bad tide, so we can end this right on time. Hopefully they can take care of some of these projects. But overall, I think we can be pretty satisfied with how a lot of this has gone. They are still in the process of getting rid of some of these brambles. Every single one they remove is an improvement. So, not really too much you can do about that without causing problems. 4 homeless beavers. That problem will be solved once these farmhouses are reconnected with the help of wooden stairs, which need planks. And oh, there's nobody working here. Okay, that might explain why. But now they can take a look at that. Need to get our population up and without building new buildings. But that's easier said than done. Still waiting on paper. How? Oh, because I have 5 of the fancy blueprints. Okay. Alright. So, I guess there's not really much of anything else I need to be doing right now, but I don't want to have these, I really need to be able to turn off that sound. It's driving me insane. What other place can I unpause that has housing? I guess those, and then I will pause both of these. We do have the blueprints necessary, so we don't have to worry about that. Just need to keep things moving best as we can. Those are going to be fine. Good, they got rid of all of those brambles. That's very good. Is there anywhere else they could benefit from that? I don't think so. So that's definitely set up there. Oh, they finished this. Very good. Very, very good. I am glad that got taken care of. We have 6 of those crude saw blades. This can go back to do metal fasteners. We're going to need to have those. And yes, friends, we are very, very, very low on water, which is part of the reason why I unpaused those. I think... I don't want to have any more beavers, but I definitely need to have more beavers doing jobs. We're going to be shuffling around again. But that's Waterbeavers. That's how she goes. Food-wise, we're still looking pretty okay. I would love to see the hand of soup full once again, but that's going to require some more cabbages than I think we have the ability to produce currently. Long term, though, or a little bit longer term, as we continue being able to reclaim farmland, we have some irrigation and all that set up. We're going to be able to grow more stuff, just like I've said, it takes a whole lot of time. That's just the way she goes. Somebody left a comment saying I should get rid of these small piles so that these brambles can spread here. They're just going to keep dying every time we have a bad tide. I'm not really that concerned about it. Just is what it is. I do see space over here, now that we have access to the easier stairs, for us to put in a farm of some type with the help of an irrigation thing, but we do need to get more water harvested for that to be viable. That is going to just take time, but I can start unpausing more and more of these water pumps. Just need to reduce the amount of beavers who can't work. The dirty beaver thing is kind of unavoidable because, well, we have to have water for them to bathe in, and I know we do have the tank shower, but the tank shower has to have barreled water, which has to be made in the Handicrafter's Lodge, which I'm not turning on. The regular shower is the regular shower. It won't work with bad water. Somebody also asked about the irrigation possibilities with the small leaky bath. This, I do not believe, will allow you to use bad water. Somebody asked if we could do that so we could kill the brambles. But you put this down. It's not going to show me until it gets built, but I'm like 99% sure it just has to get filled with clean water anyway. So this is just, I don't think we're going to need to worry about it. The Lido and the fluid dump, of course, the fluid dump does allow bad water, but I'm not going to go through all of that just to irrigate with bad water somewhere. I think we're probably fine for most of this stuff. Also, the creator of the mod has asked why I haven't done the different district centers yet, and I have to remember where those are. They're in here somewhere. There. Gonna be completely honest with you, I am very unsure of how this is supposed to work, and I'm not going to figure it out in a video because then that is just going to be a disaster. So I may have to do a little bit of playing around on my own time to try to figure out how this works, because I don't want to waste your time, and I don't want to waste video time either trying to figure out how this works. Because these are all set up, like I talked about in the first episode, as completely separate, I guess, nuclei of different industries, versus the old style, which is just you have a district and you have another district and then you have the crossing that trades different things. I've not messed with this, so there's not really anything I can say about it, and I'm not going to try to speculate without having figured it out. So that's just what it is. And now we have a whole lot of beavers who are dirty. We have a whole lot of buildings that are not being used because we have dirty beavers who cannot do jobs. So once the clean water comes in, we can get rid of this 2-story watertight lodge. Then this will fill back up. We'll have only clean water that is not pumpable go through here. And a lot of problems will be solved. But here's cycle 13. Just wait for this to run slightly more clear. And by slightly more clear, I mean perfectly clear. And then that'll get deleted, and we will say goodbye for today's episode. Just trying my best to keep this as clean as possible. I think that's going to be fine there. So that lets that water go back in place. They're already replanting things. Things are looking pretty okay here. These were starting to dry out, but now they're not. Already clean here. Just going to set that up normally. And now we have easier access from this side to get to these farms. Not necessarily this side to get to farms, but I'm not opposed to getting something else in there. This is just... Did this get desaturated, this model? I'm pretty sure that used to have colored planks and stuff. Okay, well, it does seem to be working. So that's very good news. As long as it lets water in eventually. There we go. And now all the dirty beavers can become clean. And now I can turn all of these back on. And all is right in the world for the beavers. As soon as they, take care of everything else they have to take care of. So, yes, this is going to be the end of the episode. Still got a lot of good stuff done today. We finished the research for the Floodgate Dam. We don't have the science for it yet, but we're going to get there. They are unfortunately out of brain-boosting salts, but we've made a lot of tar in the meantime, which means I can turn that back on. And then they'll be able to take care of the rest of that. We'll make more science. We'll unlock the Floodgate Dam, and then we'll build it. As long as we have all the materials, and that's part of the reason why I turned the gears back on. I think we're going to be good. Got more trees planted. We have more efficient tree harvesting happening here. This area is set up a lot better to be able to have some more berry bushes, which it will continue spreading. These are looking good. This levee is going to go away, so we can have nice clean water. I know this still has a little bit of pollution in it, but it's not going to be enough to kill anything. And that's that. Feel very, very good about this, folks. Just get this beaver back in here to plant the trees again. And yeah, so I really appreciate you watching this series, giving me some helpful insight, different ideas, so on and so forth. Beard Boosters also directly subsidizing me and the channel, keeping it sponsor-free, and making it possible for us to just enjoy playing the game and having a nice time together. So really appreciate those folks, and you as well, even if you're not on that list. I'm glad you chose to spend some time with me today. I hope whatever it is you're doing with the rest of your day, you have a safe and a fun time, and we will see you back again very soon for more beaver fun. Take care, friends. Bye-bye.